Hey y'all, I'm Frannie Bigge with RhinoCat Designs, and today I'm going to be doing a very quick tutorial on how to use your Glowforge to engrave on a ceramic tile. So I do go pretty quick through this. You can edit the settings on YouTube to watch it at a slower pace, or feel free to pause the video while you try it out on your own, but I'm going to be using Adobe Illustrator, so let me share my screen and we will get started. Here we go. So in Illustrator, the first thing I do is create the size of my tile in the design. So if you drag and click, you can do it that way, but that's not very exact. So instead, I just click the mouse and it allows you to put in your width and your height. So the tile that I'm going to be engraving today is a 6 by 6 inch square tile, which is awesome. If your square automatically filled with the color, that's fine. You can do it either way. I like to have the outline there so I can keep track of basically where the edges are and where my font might overlap. So today I'm doing fonts in my square. You can do images, but fonts for me are pretty fun. And today, because I had a request for it, I'm going to do nope and not today. So you can choose any font style that you like. Just make sure that you have permission to use it. I usually stick with about the same few fonts, and I have a specific style, but everybody is different. So use the ones that you like. Just make sure that you have the commercial permission to use it if you are producing something for commercial purposes. So that was really quick how I created that. To type in the text, you click on your type tool. Click anywhere that you like and type in whatever quote you would like. Next, what you'd want to do is select a corner of the type box, and you'll notice if you just drag it, it deforms the font. But if you hit the Shift key, it will keep it that same ratio aspect, and that makes it not deform. So that's trick one. Trick two, you can also go down here and just change the font size. That's a pretty easy way to do it, but I find that the drag is a little bit easier. So now that I have both of those fonts in there, one thing that I like to do is centering them on my tile, and I always make sure that the colors are different. So my font I want to make sure is different than the square, and I'll show you why in just a moment. So now that I have that, I like to rotate it a bit. You can mess around with however you'd like it to look, but for the sake of time today, we're going to do this fast. It is in the center of my screen, and that was just done manually. Another way you can do it is by selecting both of the items. So if I select the square and select my font, I use the align tools down here to move it around. You can also put it over in your toolbox over here and align it this way. So if I click that, they're going to center. That's going to center, and I don't like either of those. One thing to do that helps with your aligning, if you click on both of the items, but you want to center it with a specific item, like I would want to center it in the middle of this square without having to move anything else. Once you have both selected, just click on the item that you want to center it to as your last thing. So I just selected this square, and now when I press the align horizontal key, it's going to just move that text to be in the middle. Or I can have it be over on the side, around, top, doesn't matter, you get to choose. I'm gonna actually just drag and place it, so I find that, at least in this case, I don't want it to be centered, but if you did, that's one way to do it. So now that I have my quote, or my words, if you press the Alt key, you can zoom in or out. And if you press the Control-Y key, you'll see what it's going to look like. But right now, because this is just a font, it's not going to be compatible with your Glowforge. So to convert fonts into something that the Glowforge can recognize, select your font. And how I'm selecting both is I just click one, I press my Shift key, and select the other. You can go up to go up to Type first, create outlines, or you can use the shortcut key, which is Shift Control O. And now you have outlines of your font. But what you might notice is there's a funky overlap, which would totally ruin what you're trying to do. So instead, I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to hit Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And then I'm going to go over to my Pathfinder tool and hit the Merge button. So now, if you look at it, it's one smooth font, which is how I want it to look. There is another trick that you can do. If you want these to engrave on different levels, just change the color. So if you use the direct selection tool and select the items that you want to either engrave lighter or darker, you can change the color that way. But I'm having these both be the same color, so that's not a thing we need to actually change. Now it's actually ready to go into your Glowforge system. So let me open my Glowforge app and we will continue from there. All right, so once you are in your Glowforge app, which is online, just make sure you're connected to your Wi-Fi, you'll notice that it doesn't recognize the tile that I put in. And I get all of my tiles from a local salvage supply store because I don't like to buy things new. I'd rather repurpose old things. So my tile is a little less than square, if you might notice it's broken, and the height is not quite exact. So I can use an uncertified material. I usually just enter in 0 for it, hit submit. And then the trick to actually getting it to the right size is you set focus and you select your item. Some things you may want to mask, and excuse the background noise as Glowforge is getting booted up. Some things you may want to mask, tiles I found that you don't need to. So I do want to import my artwork, which I forgot to save. So let's save this as an SVG, which is done. I usually use the date of today, so we're going to replace that. And it is an SVG. Always make sure you save as an SVG so you can cut or engrave. That's the file that I find easiest to use. So now I'm going to upload it. Probably should have done this before, so I will fast forward through this part. All right, so it's uploading my design. One thing that you will notice is if you didn't convert your text to outlines, it will give you this error and it's going to remove that for you. So I have a few open, but I just want to use one of them. So you want to select the item and obviously put it over where you want it to engrave. Since the tile is looking like it's slightly less than 6 inches, you can adjust the size. I have this square on there, so it helps me center my items when I put them on the machine. But since we don't want to do anything with the square, that's the one nice thing we kept about it being a different color is we can ignore it. For the engrave settings, I have a specific setting that I've used that seems to work, which is 450 speed, full power, and 3 lines per inch. You always want to make sure your focus height is on auto, so if there is a number in there, you can just select it and delete it out. Now that everything is ready to go, I think that is about where I want it, then we're going to hit our print button, and that's it. And since it's going to be loud, I'm not going to print it while I have you on the recording, but if you want to follow what I'm doing, go ahead and check me out on social media. Since the tile is looking like it's slightly less than 6 inches, you can adjust the size. I have this square on there, so it helps me center my items when I put them on the machine. But since we don't want to do anything with the square, that's the one nice thing we kept about it being a different color is we can ignore it. For the engrave settings, I have a specific setting that I've used that seems to work, which is 450 speed, full power, and 3. I'm at Rhino Cat Designs on Instagram and Facebook, and as you know, I'm also on YouTube. Let me know if there's anything that you want to learn, and I'm happy to create a tutorial especially for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.